Alrighty. Before we get out of here, let's go to our playoff machine. We did this last week. It was great. It was fun. I love it. If you don't know what this is the ESPN playoff machine. Just Google ESPN playoff machine. It will be the first link. It tells you what the playoffs looking like right now, and then you go and click around on this week's matchups, winners, and then it changes the playoffs according to who you predict to win these games. So just like last week, we're going to go through all these games, pick the winner, see how the playoffs change, and then we'll kind of this is what we're going to say is going to be the playoff picture going into week 16, excuse me. So this is the current playoff picture. Chiefs have that number 1 seed in the AFC, so they got that first round bye. Steelers fell down to that number 2 seed. Bills at the 3 seed. Titans at the 4 seed. Browns at the 5th seed. Colts at the 6th seed, and the Dolphins at the 7th seed in the AFC. Now in the NFC, Green Bay, they overtook that number 1 seed spot. So we had both number 1 seeds fall from last week. So Green Bay at number 1, Saints fell to number 2, Rams at 3, Washington at 4, Seattle at 5, Tampa Bay at 6, and Arizona at 7. So let's go out and pick the winners of all the games, see how the playoffs change, in our opinion, of what we think the playoff is going to look like heading into Week 16. So here we go. Bills and Broncos. This is tomorrow day's game. We love the Bills. I mean, they're such a good team now, folks. I mean, when Josh Allen is not turning over the ball, ooh boy. The offense is explosive, and the defense, I mean, they have to work with long fields, so that's perfect. Josh Allen's not giving up short fields for the defense. We love the Bills here. We do still like the Broncos. They do have the ability to upset the Bills this week, but we're gonna believe in Josh Allen. So we got the Bills winning against Denver. Green Bay Panthers. I mean, we got to go Aaron Rodgers, folks. Aaron Rodgers at home. I mean, they're 8-point favorites, folks. Come on. Yeah, we love Green Bay, so we got them winning. Nothing changes there. Dolphins Patriots. Dolphins -1 is our official pick, so we're gonna go Miami. Them just winning keeps them in the 7th seed. Okay. So we'll see if, the losses by the Browns or the Colts affect the Dolphins' number 7 seeding. But with the Dolphins win, they stay at number 7. Ravens, Jaguars, got to give it to the Ravens here. They're still looking for that playoff spot. So if the Ravens win and the Dolphins win, the Dolphins still stay number 7. Ravens still kind of waiting for somebody to fall out. All right, Houston and the Colts. We love the Colts. We took them -7. We're going to predict them to win. So with the win here, the Colts go to the 4 seed because now they would be division winners against Tennessee. Now let's do the Tennessee game against Detroit. Tennessee's pretty much going to win that game. So we'll go Tennessee here. And now with that, so Tennessee goes to the 4th seed. They reclaim that 4th seed. The Colts actually go up to the 5th seed now, and the Browns fall down to the 6th seed. We'll see what happens when we do the Browns game in a second. 49ers and Cowboys. We like the Cowboys here, folks. I don't think it's going to matter too much, the different winner here, but we're going to go Cowboys here. And that does not change anything. Washington is still winning the division, so even with the Cowboys winning. Seattle and Washington, this one's tough. This one's going to be tough, but we're going to say Seattle wins it. And then once we're done with this entire matchup here, then we can go around and seeing different scenarios. But we're going to call it Seahawks here. I mean, it's Russell Wilson. This Washington offense is really not good, folks. I really do not like it. So with Seattle beating Washington, Seattle goes up to that 3rd seed, and LA goes down to that 5th seed because now Seattle is that number 1 seed. And what are they? The NFC West, I want to say. All right, so let's keep moving on here. Bears, Vikings. Ooh, close game here. We'll go Vikings at home. Do we go Vikings at home? Damn. Yeah, Mitch Trubisky on the road, we're not trusting that. In this Minnesota offense, they do put up the stats. They just don't always put up the points because they do have a lot of turnovers in the second half. But we're going to say, let's say Minnesota. We'll come back, maybe switch this outcome after we've kind of gone through these games. So we'll say Minnesota wins. And that doesn't matter. I mean, maybe when somebody loses, it will matter. But as long as, Minnesota just wins themselves, it's not getting anything done. So we said Minnesota beats Chicago. Then we got the Bucks and Atlanta. Got to go the Bucks here. Cannot trust Matt Ryan anymore. Bucks winning. They kind of keep that number 6 seed. No movement here. All right, Cardinals, Eagles. Ooh, this is the tough one, folks. Who do we say? We do like the Eagles +6. don't really like this Cardinals offense. I think we rock with the Eagles this week, folks. I think they can honestly win out. This defense of Philadelphia, I'm telling y'all, they're so underrated, folks. In this run game, they've got a great run game too. It's just really Jalen Hurts being a game manager, and I think he can do it. We're going to call the upset here. Philadelphia over the Cardinals. Let's see how this shakes out. Minnesota would then jump up to that 7th seed because they won and the Cardinals lost. So the Vikings are really rooting for the Eagles here this week. All right, then we got Jets and Chargers. Folks, why did I even say that? We're not talking Jets no more on this show. Ever again. I don't care. They lose every game. They'll lose. We'll swallow whatever points you ask me to. You want me to swallow 20? I'll swallow 20. 25, 30, 35, 40? I'll swallow 45 points. Doesn't matter. I'm not talking the Jets no more. I'm not giving Adam Gase that time on my show anymore. Rams over the New York team. That's not the Giants. So now with the all right, yeah. Was this what happened? What happened here? Yes. So with the Rams winning, they still stay that number 3 seed, and the Seattle still stays the number 5 seed if they both win. So really no switching there if they both win. Now if the Rams lose, then yes, the Rams would stay at 5 and the Seahawks would stay at 3. But I mean, it's the Jets, folks. Come on. All right, here we go. Chiefs, Saints. Ooh. I mean, folks, we got to go the Chiefs here. I cannot trust the Saints defense. They've got the players, but they always commit penalties at the worst time. It's always. That's the one knock on this Saints team. Their defense, I mean, they bail out. I mean, they beat themselves, truthfully. They shoot themselves in the foot. And the speedy receivers of this Chiefs team is going to even hurt these backs of these defensive backs of the Saints even more. So we're going to go Kansas City here with the win. They still stay that number 1 seed in the NFC, and the Saints still stay that number 2 seed, even though they lose the game. And the Rams win and the Seahawks win, so they still stay that number 2 seed. Alrighty, 2 more games here. Browns, Giants. We got to go Browns here, not trusting this Giants team. And now the Browns, because the Browns win, they get to that 5th seed, and the Colts stay at that 6th seed, which I think is what it actually was going into this week. So Browns go to the 5th, or stay at the 5th. Colts stay at the 6th because they both win this week. Then we got Steelers, Bengals. Steelers, folks, come on. And then they stay at the number 2 seed. So basically, does this look like no movement? Well, our official predictions, I think the only movement that we really have is Cardinals fall from the 7th seed and the Vikings get into the 7th seed. Chiefs stay at number 1. Green Bay stays at number 1. Steelers stay at number 2. Saints stay at number 2. Bills stay at 3. Rams stay at 3. Titans at 4. Washington at 4. So this is, I mean, the only change that we expect to be the playoffs coming into week 16 is going to be Minnesota is now in the playoffs and the Cardinals are not. So let's start, I mean, huge games here. I mean, everything really can change. So let's start playing around a little bit. Our first one, let's see if Deshaun Watson gets the upset on, or hang on, let's start here actually. Let's see if Denver Broncos get the upset on the Buffalo Bills this week. Let's see what happens. Bills would fall down to the 4th seed and the Titans would go up to that 3rd seed. So the Bills would have to face Cleveland round 1 instead of facing the Colts round 1. Now, what's better, the Browns or the Colts for the Bills? Probably facing the Colts because you can pick off Phillip Rivers in a playoff game when he has to go to Buffalo. I think that's exactly what they want. So the Bills really want to face Phillip Rivers in the playoffs because then I think careless Phillip Rivers in cold weather in Buffalo, I think then he starts to turn the ball over a little bit. So I think Buffalo really wants that number 4 seed. All right, let's return the winner back to Buffalo. All right, now let's see what happens if the Texans upset the Colts this week. All right, the Colts fall out of the playoffs. Dolphins go to number 6, and the Ravens go to number 7. So this is huge. This Texans-Colts game is huge for playoff seeding and playoff positioning and really who gets in and who goes out. So Colts, a huge game here. I think they win it. I really don't see any. The only scenario I can see the Texans winning this week is if Deshaun Watson, he's still angry about fumbling on the 1-yard line against the Colts, and he comes out and plays fantastic. But he would really have to play absolutely fantastic, like better than Marcus Mariota and better than Justin Herbert did last night, actually combined, because they are missing a lot of wide receivers there in Houston. So Yeah, damn, that's huge. Woof, that's huge. So if you're a Ravens fan, you're rooting for a Colts loss. Now let's see what happens if the Patriots upset the Dolphins, which really isn't too much of an upset. They're only 1-point favorites. So let's see what happens if the Patriots beat the Dolphins this week. Then Baltimore slides into that 7th seed and the Dolphins fall out. So the Ravens are looking for a win, obviously, and a Colts loss or a Dolphins loss. Let's now see what happens if the Dolphins lose and the Colts lose. Let's see how this changes it. Dolphins lose and Colts lose. Colts fall down to the 7th seed and Baltimore slingshots up to that 6th seed. So, yes, absolutely. Ravens, if you're a fan of the Ravens, you're rooting for the Texans to win and you're rooting for the Patriots to win. Because now you get Buffalo. That's pretty good. I don't know if the Ravens are quite ready yet to face the Steelers in a playoff game. Let's get kind of that one game under their belt. And I think against Buffalo, that'd be an explosive matchup. So, Ravens fans are rooting for the Patriots this week and the Texans this week. All right, let's reset it back to kind of what we think is going to happen. Now let's go to another upset that we can kind of play around with. All right, I think the next upset that's a possibility is Washington over Seattle this week. Russell Wilson against a very good defense. Ooh, he turns it over a couple times. So we can't even really trust this that, the Seahawks are kind of a sure thing to win this week. So let's see what happens if Washington beats Seattle. Washington still stays the 4th seed. The winner of the NFC will always be the 4th seed, folks. They're not going to move up. They can't move down. They are locked into that 4th seed. So Washington, no movement there. But Seattle goes down to number 6, and Tampa Bay jumps up to number 5. So huge game for Seattle this week. They'll still be in the playoffs kind of regardless of what happens. But it's just their seeding that's really going to change. Alrighty, Chicago and the Vikings. Let's see what happens if Chicago beats Minnesota. Chicago's not done, folks. If Chicago can beat the Vikings and the Eagles beat the Cardinals, the Bears are in the 7th seed now. Now we're talking about Mitch Trubisky in the playoffs, and that would be exciting to see. Let's make sure on this. Let's see what happens if the Cardinals do beat the Eagles this week. Yes, then the Cardinals move up to that 7th seed. So this is huge, folks. The Bears are not done. They're still playing, folks. They are still playing. Dang. So this is huge, folks. This is going to be a big week. All right, here we go. Bucks, Falcons. What happens? Let's see what happens if Matt Ryan miraculously pulls this one off. Nothing. Tampa Bay would still stay at number 6, and the Vikings would still stay at number 7. All right, we did, let's see what happens if the Cardinals upset, or kind of win, not even an upset, against the Eagles. And so the Cardinals, if they win, they're still in. Doesn't even matter if the Vikings win, doesn't matter if the Bears win. Let's see this. Yes, does not matter. As long as the Cardinals win, they're still going to be locked into that playoff spot in that number 7 spot as well. So, Cardinals win. They are still in, heading into Week 16. I don't think they do, though, folks. I really like the Eagles this week. So we do have Minnesota officially in that number 7 seed going into Week 16. Let's finish this up here. Here we go. Saints, Chiefs, huge game. The Saints can definitely win it. Drew Brees is playing, which I don't love, but he's playing. So let's see how this works. If the Saints beat the Chiefs, the Saints are still at that number 1 seed. Now, let's see what happens. Can the Saints get that number 1 seed back if Carolina beats Green Bay? And they can. So, wow, that's actually real crazy. So, if Green Bay loses for some reason, which I really don't think there's any way they do, if they do lose and the Saints win and the Rams win, the Saints move up to that number 1 seed. The Rams actually climb to that number 2 seed, and Green Bay falls down to number 3 and has to face Tampa Bay in the first meeting of the playoffs. So Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers knows he wants home field playoff for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So I don't really see him losing against Panthers, but it is still a possibility. All right, let's get this all back up. Giants, Browns. Let's see what happens if Daniel Jones pulls it out this week. Oh, boy. See here. Wow. If the Browns lose this week, it's a huge shakeup. Browns fall all the way out of the playoffs. Ravens go to the number 7 seed. Dolphins go to the 6th seed. And the Colts go to the 5th seed. So this Browns game, folks, wow, this is huge. This is a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield. They could literally fall out of the playoffs if everything kind of goes right this week. And they lose. wow, they can fall right out of the playoffs. That's crazy. That is real crazy. To not have a kind of 9-win team this far into the season not make the playoffs, this AFC, folks, it's a tough matchup here. So a huge game for the Browns here this week. Now, luckily for them, I mean, Daniel Jones is a little banged up, and Freddie Kitchens is calling plays for the Giants. So I think this is kind of a sure thing for the Browns. And then Steelers-Bengals, if the Steelers lose, then the Bills jump up to that number 2 seed. So the Steelers still are, still having to win games to keep their spot here at that number 2 seed. So this is what we think is going to happen going into Week 16. Chiefs at number 1. I mean, the real only change, there is no change in the AFC. The AFC should still stay the same of what we think is going to happen for Week 16. The only thing that changes, it's one spot in the NFC where Arizona currently has that 7th seed, but we predict them losing that seed in Minnesota getting it for number 7. So this is a playoff machine. I absolutely encourage you to spend hours on this. Click around. Let's just do real quickly, real crazy. We're just going to kind of click around and see what happens here. We're just going to click some matchups here. Let's say these win. All right, here we go. Let's say something crazy happens this week. A lot of upsets on some teams, and the playoffs can be like this. Colts have the 4 seed. Titans have the 5th seed. Browns fall down to 6. Dolphins at 7. Chicago's at the number 7 seed. Seattle fell all the way to number 5. Tampa at number 4. So it really can get really wild here. Let's see if we can get real wild. Can we get real wild here? Let's see. Let's get real wild here. Yeah, this could be wild enough. This could be wild enough. All right, let's say something just catastrophic happens in the league, and now we're looking at, I said, Ravens at 5, Cleveland at 6, Colts at 7, Bills fall down to that 4th seed, and then in the NFC, the Tampa Bay Bucks fall down to the 7th, Arizona climbs their way up to the 6th, Seattle still at number 5. So it can really change really quickly if you just kind of play around with it. It's very fun.